All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Krueg Show with a little 49er recap of minicamp, day number 1. You know, once again, Jacob Cowing looked phenomenal at minicamp. I mean, he's making plays, he's making catches, he's looking confident, he's looking sudden, explosive. He didn't make hardly any impact his first year, barely played at all from scrimmage, and he really looks like the best player on the field. So we'll start there. Jacob Cowing continues to star at minicamp. Of course, this video is brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Puerto Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krueg sent you. And this video is also brought to you by our good friends at Mancini's. They've got their best price guarantee. They'll match the lowest price you can find. They've got their 365-night comfort guarantee. You get a free year to try it out and free next day delivery. So if you're thinking about upgrading your bed, now is the time. And make sure you use the code Krueg10 at checkout at any of Mancini's locations or online at sleepworld.com. All right. A minicamp. Tuesday and Wednesday minicamp here in Santa Clara. Okay, this was the first time I've seen Jake Moody kick with the new shortened 2-step approach as opposed to the 3-step approach. It's supposed to make him more accurate. Shanahan was asked about it after the practice, and he said, hey, look, the ball went through the uprights. You know, Shanahan's kind of a results-oriented guy when it comes to special teams. It's like, hey, if you make... I don't think he cares what it looks like as long as it goes through the uprights. I mean, it's just really as simple as that. And Jake connected today. He made all of his kicks. 27-yarder, 32, 37, 47, 52, and 55. He made all of his kicks with his 2-step approach. He will be battling Greg Joseph this summer for that place kicking job. As far as guys who are either out or working out on the side, Trent Williams got a little bit of a bulky hamstring, nothing serious, but he wasn't out there today. He was out there, but he wasn't working out with the team. He was working out on the side. Pearsall, Ayuk, Jennings, Mustafa, Alfred Collins, Yatir Gross-Matos, Fred Warner, Curtis Robinson, Jair Brown, Curtis Rourke, George Odom, who else? Marquise Siegel, Darrell Luter, Andre Dillard. We're all either out or working out on the side. Malik Mustafa, Shanahan told us, will not be ready when training camp begins. He's still battling that knee injury. Trent Williams and George Kittle did do individual drills today, but no team drills. CMC and Bosa both did individual drills and a few team drills. Warner, Ayuk, Jennings, and those guys just watched on the side. Brandon Ayuk, as I said, attended practice, did not participate. He's still nursing his injury. Ricky Pearsall, probably one positive. Ricky Pearsall ran on the side today. He's coming back from a hamstring. I get the feeling that if this were a more important time of the year, Pearsall would be out there. They just don't want any setbacks with the hamstrings. Hamstrings are kind of tricky, so Ricky ran on the side. But it's a good indication that he'll probably be a full go come training camp. Trent Williams is back for his 16th season. And Andre Dillard, by the way, also worked on the side. Now, after practice, we had a chance to talk to Deommodore Lenoir, Trent Williams, and Kyle Shanahan. And let's talk a little bit about what those guys told us. First, let's start with Lenoir. He said, man, I feel like an old guy. I feel like one of the old guys. He also, he was asked about Bryce Huff, and he said, man, he's going to be a player for us. Really excited about Bryce Huff. He was asked about what Renardo Green looks like to him, and he said, man, he looks really, really confident. You know, a lot of times in year 2, he's like, you can lose your confidence. He's like, Renardo looks more confident than ever. He said that he really loves Robert Saleh's energy. Demo was asked about Saleh and the addition of Saleh, and he says he loves the energy that Saleh brings. He was asked about, is he happy that his contract got done? And what's the answer? Of course, no, I'm not happy my contract got done. I'm not happy that I have security. I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but he said, man, I really wanted to be a 49er for life. It was important to me to be a Niner for life. And so from that perspective, he's really glad that his deal is done. He was asked by Jake Hutchinson if he's going to play inside or outside with Upton Stout now on the team. there's a lot of talk that Demo's going to play outside. And he's like, man, wherever they need me. But right now he's playing outside. So the plan is to play Stout in the slot and play Demo and Renardo Green outside. I asked him about Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins and the speed element that they bring. And he's like, man, they're going to be good. They're going to be players for us. He said they're full of speed. So he loves the addition of Cowing and Watkins. He also admitted to us that, he's been more vocal this year. Demo's trying to be more of a leader. He's one of the veterans now, and he needs to speak up, and he has spoke up. He also discussed how he thinks Upton Stout is way more advanced than he was as a rookie. He was asked about Trey Brown. He's like, man, that's my guy. He's a great addition. He says he's got a great personality. He's really funny. And then he was asked, what do you do in the next 40 days between now and training camp? And he's like, lock in on the details. And then I asked him about Darrell Luter, and he's like, man, I think this is his breakout year. Demo seems to think that Darrell Luter's going to have his breakout year this year. Then we had a chance to talk to Trent Williams, and his first question was, Trent, how you feeling? He said, man, I'm feeling good. Feeling good. The foot's feeling good. He was asked, how long do you want to play? He's like, I didn't give a whole lot of thought in the offseason to how long I want to play. He goes, I'm just kind of taking it. He's like, I might play to age 41. He's 36 now. That would mean 5 more years. And it's funny. It's like he was asked about the pros and the cons of a long off season. And he just said that, man, the Niners really needed a long off season. It was badly needed. He said it was much needed to have the extra rest. And then he talked about and kind of reflected how difficult it really was for him the year prior to come back after losing the Super Bowl and the devastation of that. And he downplayed it last year, but this year he kind of admitted that, the devastation of losing that Super Bowl to Kansas City really bothered him. He said it even bothered him when they played Kansas City last year. He said in the pain of that Super Bowl was fresh again when they played the Chiefs head to head. So I thought that was kind of interesting. He said that, the energy and the attitude has been great. He says that, the confidence that the team has been great. He thinks that the new draft class looks like there are, quote, several great picks. He didn't expand on that, but maybe we'll get him to expand on that this summer. But he thinks this draft class has several great picks. I asked him about Bryce Huff. I'm like, what does Huff bring to the table? And man, he's like, he's a speed demon off the edge. He'll have a D Ford-like effect as a player, like what D Ford did for the Niners in 2019. And he's like, hey, man, this is a guy who can make the quarterback step up and move off the spot. And that's really what it's all about. He was asked if, was it tough to see guys leave? Obviously Debo left and a number of guys left. Greenlaw left. And he's like, man, it's always tough, but he's like, man, I'm in my 16th year. I know the business. He's like, these guys are like family to me. But it's, he's like, once you've been in this business for 16 years, you just know it. It's just part of the biz. Guys come, guys go. And he's not too, moved by it. He was asked about Spencer Burford, who's making a move to tackle. And he said that Burford has trained with him in Houston almost all summer. Thought that was kind of interesting. He was asked again about kind of his status as far as a veteran. How long does he want to play? And he's like, man, I'm taking it 1 year at a time. And then when he discussed it further, he's like, for me, man, at my age, it's day by day. He was asked about Brock Purdy's new deal. And he said, man, it's super, he says it's super fulfilling to watch a guy like Brock. It couldn't happen to a better guy. He's going to win a lot of games for this franchise. He says he likes him like a brother. Or he loves him like a brother. He was asked, are you going to have a bunch of O-linemen train with you between now and training camp? And he said, hey, my door's always open. And that's when he kind of said, hey, Burford's been training with me all summer. He was asked about Mikael Williams, and he said, man, the guy's a mountain of a man, but he's quick and he's fluid at that size. He's like, first and second down at defensive end, and then you play him inside as a defensive tackle on third downs. He really thinks Mikael's going to make a nice impact. It's funny. He was asked, do you have a greater appreciation for your career now that you're in your 16th year? And he's like, man, seeing all these young guys go through this for the first time and living their dream kind of motivates me. And and gives me that perspective on my career. He admitted that he was at OTAs for the first time in 10 years, and it's pretty clear that Shanahan told guys like Trent, hey, man, be here at the OTAs because it's the tone. It's the message that it sends the rest of the team. Then we had a chance to talk to Kyle Shanahan, and it's funny, Kawakami asked him the first question. He's like, yeah, it seemed like the offense was struggling today. And Shanahan immediately was like, I didn't think they were struggling. He said, I thought it was a good practice, and all three phases looked pretty good. He admitted that Alfred Collins has a calf, and Jair Brown's got an ankle. Pearsall's got a hamstring. Dillard's got an ankle. Jennings has a calf. Odom's got a knee. Gross Matos has a knee. Trent Taylor's on the IR with the back. And he said, guys like Rourke and Mustafa and Ayuk and Curtis Robinson are very highly unlikely to be ready to hit the field when they hit the field in training camp in late July. He was asked about Ayuk, and he's like, he's making his way back. He was asked about Trent Williams. He said, man, he's looking good. He's in shape. He was asked about Bryce Huff and the addition of Bryce Huff, and he's like, man, this guy affects the quarterback. He's like, he probably is the best get off the ball guy we've had here since D Ford. He was asked about Jake Moody. He says he likes, his new approach to kicking field goals, and he likes what he sees thus far. He was asked again about Bryce Huff, and he said, it wasn't that he failed last year in Philadelphia. It just wasn't a good scheme fit. And he just said, look, there's a big difference between being an outside linebacker in their scheme. And he's like, basically, Bryce Huff can't drop into coverage and cover anybody. So he didn't fit Philly's scheme, but he does fit the Niners scheme because the Niners in the wide nine don't ask their defensive ends to ever drop into coverage. He talked about Jacob Cowing, how hard he's worked this offseason. He talked about how Jordan Watkins really looks good. He talked about how he's excited about his new fast weapons. And then somebody asked him about how the Niners showed interest in Gabe Davis, and does it indicate that they're interested in adding another wide receiver? And he's like, hey, we're always looking. We're always looking. If we never stop looking for good players is basically his point. He was asked about Gus Bradley, and he said he was really fortunate to have Bradley on the staff. He said Kyle admitted that he likes to hire, guys who are second-generation NFL coaches because they have a lifetime of experience to draw from. He was asked about how do you rebuild Mac Jones's confidence, and he's like, just encourage him to really let it rip in practice. He said that's how you get better. You let it rip in practice, and you go live, and then you get better in the process of those reps. And then I asked him how important is this time between now and training camp, and he said, he'd like to cancel the whole week, but he said he doesn't want to get guys hurt, but he's got 20 guys that he really feels need the reps. And so they're going to go through it. And then he's like, it's important that during this month of June, that players and coaches, that you get away, you kind of assess what's happened, where you're at, and kind of reassess, where you're at and what you want to get accomplished in training camp. And he thinks this downtime in June is really essential for players and coaches to kind of recharge their batteries, reassess where they're at, and kind of, come back with that much more fire and determination to have success in training camp. All right, that's going to do it for the full recap here on a Tuesday. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. Thanks to Mancini's Sleep World for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krueg Show on YouTube.